Hey, I'm Morgan,
I'm Chris. Welcome to the Midlife Mud,
where we promise to bring the real shit, all the grit, and pretty much zero clue about how to deal with this crazy phase of life.
And by the way, because this is all about feeling less alone, what we want most is to connect with you.
Absolutely. So take a few seconds and visit themidlifemud.com and join our community.
And you'll stay up to date on all the dirt.
And even better, become a part of the conversation.
We can't wait to see you there. All right, tighten those boots and let's get muddy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm caffeinating, so I'm doing well. I'm getting well.
I am very feisty this morning because I woke up at 4:30, which is not just for today, but kind of back to the time episode a little bit. I actually did some homework. It's funny how these things end up giving me homework.
These things being our episodes.
This podcast, it gets me engaged in learning and kind of growing in my own way. And I listened to the James Clear book.
Mm-hmm. It was so good, right? I did too.
And my God, it was awesome.
We're a little behind on this one.
We're a little behind, but I'm used to being slow, so it's okay. But I really felt like I'm strong in figuring out like what I want in life right now, right? I'm doing a good job of that, but the piece that I've been missing is the habits. So I've just been playing around with a little bit of a new mantra on life. And some of it is having to do with physical fitness and just eating better. So I've been getting up and really also obtaining that magic part of the day for me where my brain works the best.
I know.
So the downside is it means I'm getting up at 4:30 and I go to bed at like 8:30.
I mean, that's how everybody wants to live their life, right? I wish I were one of those people that could do with 4 hours of sleep.
It's not bad. I mean, like, what the fuck am I doing at 10 o'clock at night, fighting to watch something or read something or I don't know, just go to sleep.
It's something about having downtime, though,
Yeah.
And quality time with family and stuff for me, like if I go to bed at 9, my son's not even home from work yet. So I can go a whole day without seeing him.
Well, I'm lucky because we live in a house where we just shut it down at 8:30.
Well, you can right now, but that'll change as they get older.
Well, and here we go. It is getting into the summer vibe.
I know.
So the summer vibe is going to fuck with all of this. So my little world, all my little ideas, we're going to really test them.
They're going to get shit all over.
Yes.
I know. But your intentions are good. But I love what you're saying because it's true for me too. It's not that we're sitting here just talking about this stuff. It's actually getting us into action too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool because I've also been doing the same thing after we talked about time and it was like, oh, well, morning time is sort of my sweet spot in terms of productivity and I'm squandering it. Why would I do that? And so I have started to get up at 5:30. I'm not a 4:30 person. And that has been really good so far. It's like, oh, I have this whole day after I get all these things done. And it's a game changer. So I like the main idea of the Atomic Habits book, which is that, you put systems in place. And boy, am I a systems person. I love systems.
You really are.
I
think I'm probably more of a systems person than I come across.
Yeah. You are.
I really, really like systems, but you take it to a level beyond me, which is awesome. Like, I love that.
I mean, it can be to a fault sometimes because if you systemize everything, you're not always thinking about what you're doing.
Right.
And so you have to consistently evaluate your systems to make sure they're actually effective. But I just love getting a system in place so that I can have more brain. I don't have to think so much about it and I have more brain power for other things. So
the other thing that I just love about, like, conceptually that book is talking about, he brings up this idea of the 4%. All you're really trying to do is get 4% better than the last time you did something.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so approachable. If you make it 50%, then you're setting yourself up for failure, and then the likelihood of doing it again is lower, right?
Yeah, you're overwhelmed. And so this week, it's like, I'm just going to get up earlier. And then next week it's, I'm going to add in da-da-da-da-da,
Right. So next year when I take you to a blue run, just before you go down, 4%, 4%, 4%, just say that mantra.
That was not 4%, bitch. Now, maybe by then it will be, because I got a ski pass and I'm going to learn, damn it.
All right. What are we talking about today?
So I'll start with something that happened recently that kind of made me think of this as an interesting topic for one of our episodes. So my daughter, my youngest, she is 10.
Yeah.
And she is an interesting soul.
But just to clarify the life that she wandered into, she's the youngest girl of 4 and she has 3 older brothers.
And the next oldest brother right now is 13. So
God bless her.
I know, poor thing. But she has this little friend who recently had to put her dog to sleep, who she just loved and adored. And that really touched my daughter in a way that she wanted to do something to make it better. And her version of doing that was to come to me and say, hey, Mom, I need you to go pick up a basket, and then we're going to go on Amazon and we're going to collect all these little things that my friend really likes. I'm going to make this little gift basket for her. And one of the things that she asked to make was this pillow customized with a picture of the dog, which she asked her friend to send to her.
Uh-huh.
A few years ago, I had given all of the kids one of their own customized pillows. All the kids, by the way, love that pillow. And so she wanted one for her friend to have of her dog. And so, of course, I just thought, wow, this is so sweet that she does this. And she did. She put together this amazing little basket with this big old dog pillow and these little candies that this friend of hers really likes, and her favorite gum and chips and things like that. It's a care package. And what I notice is, like, this is something my daughter does routinely. She puts a ton of thought into gifts for people. And it isn't about the material thing. It's about, hey, I know you.
Right.
I'm thinking about you.
I see you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She did it for me the other day. Like, okay, so remember when you and I went we went with the family to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
And I left my special neck pillow that I sleep on, which also had like a special pillowcase on it.
Yeah.
I left it there, and I didn't even realize until I got home, and there was no way I was getting that back. And so I really wanted to get another pillowcase, but I didn't for the longest time. And then about a month ago, I finally was like, okay, I'm going to order one of those pillowcases.
Yeah.
My daughter, when she saw it, she said, when did you get that? And I said, I just got it. And she said, you ruined my Mother's Day present. That's what I was going to get for you.
So she held that from October until Mother's Day?
Yes.
That's amazing.
And she's 10.
Wow, that's
like, it's
amazing.
Yeah.
That really is amazing.
Yeah. So it got me thinking. And this also stems from a conversation I was having with a good friend of mine about love languages and how you show love and how you receive love. And so I thought that's definitely worth talking about. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the love languages, but I also kind of wanted to think about, how does being in midlife impact that, if at all?
Right.
And it may be different for different people.
What are they?
Well, first of all, there is a book. I'm sure a lot of people, I think this was written like in the 90s or something.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah, people know about it.
Some people know about it.
Some people do, yeah. It's out there. The book is called Love Languages by Gary Chapman, for anyone who doesn't know about it and wants to read it. But essentially, there are 5 different love languages. And the first one is words of affirmation, which is basically just say something nice about me. You know, that's how I feel seen, is for you to acknowledge that I'm working hard, or that I'm doing well at something, or it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be poetic. Just like a, hey, I see you.
All right, let's practice that one.
Uh-huh.
I really appreciate the way that you organize our outlines in our Google Drive in preparation for these podcasts.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Would that count?
That would absolutely count. Yes.
All right.
Acts of service is another one.
Right.
And that's my husband's 100%, which is just to show me that you love me by doing something that I don't have the energy to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have to be, again, any big thing. It's like fold the towels that are sitting in the laundry basket.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice that you're putting in the effort and trying to lighten the load.
So acts of service is not like my natural language, but I go in and out of all of these, and I have practiced some of the ones that are not my natural ones. An example that I'm thinking about this for me, like a way that I try to do acts of service is if the laundry comes out of the machine, out of the dryer, then I'll take all the clothes and fold them all up and lay them out. Now, I don't put them away because I always do that wrong, but I at least lay them out. So I'm not sure if I'm really getting full credit or not.
You are. You're getting something there.
But the effort is there. And the other one is just going to do the grocery shopping, which is sort of a belabored task in our house. But like I think literally just being there physically and doing the grocery shopping side by side is somewhat of an act of service.
Yeah. Or like when Matt's driving the kids all over the country to go to their sporting events. That is an act of service to his kids. And to me, because I don't like have the energy and time to do that all the time or ever. So
Honey, it's fine. We can go to St. Louis for the day. We'll be back by midnight.
And that's exactly how he is.
I know it.
But what I love about that one is that it is walking the talk. It's not just saying they're going to do something. It's just doing it. And a lot of times you're not even saying you're going to do it. You just go do it.
Yeah.
And that can mean a whole lot. Another one is quality time, which speaks for itself. Spending time together, actually being present, though. It's about really being with a person.
Yeah.
Instead of letting all the chaos kind of infiltrate into your time together, your relationship.
So this one really lights my soul.
Me too.
This is kind of one of my primary languages. And, I think about our episode on Level 2 Fun and the trip that we took to New Mexico. You just brought up Tennessee. And I love that experience that you and I had with your daughter, riding the horses through the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. And that's worth 1,000 things to me, more than 1,000 things.
Well, and in that case especially, there's some element of doing something new together, exploring something new that feels very quality. Because I think when you're doing something new, you're also really a lot more present.
Mm-hmm.
At least I am. I notice that in my marriage too. Like when we go somewhere we've never been, we can both really be there instead of, we're going to the same place we always go and ordering the same food and it's all the same experience and then you forget that it ever happened.
Right.
Yeah. So gifts, as we talked about at the very beginning, receiving gifts. This one I don't understand as much. This is not mine. But I do understand it now when I look at it, like when I see my daughter doing it.
Yeah.
Because I can see where it comes from.
If a gift is really well thought out and the gift is saying, I really see you, that is a special kind of gift. Now, the other thing is you can cross these a little bit where, like if I gave a gift of a trip, that's quality time, but it's also a gift.
It's true. It's true. And then the last one is physical touch, which goes without saying.
That's your primary,
right?
Oh,
my God. Don't touch me with a 10-foot pole.
Get away from me.
But some people, like for you, some people, it's a really big deal.
And I just want to put it out here. Like when we talk about physical touch, we're not talking about sexual touch.
No, although it could be. That's included.
That could be, but that's just part of it. Like, don't get stuck in that part. It's
literally like giving your child a hug, patting a friend on the back when they're really going through something. I mean, that's physical touch.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to talk about all of these is, number one, like we all have some of that. There's usually one or two that are the most dominant. And you can actually go take a free quiz online to figure out what yours is if you don't already know it. But what's interesting is the way that you relate to people. Their love language, their dominant one, may be very different than yours. And so how you show them love, you're going to want to do it in their language and vice versa. Mm-hmm. The other piece that I find interesting is that, midlife shakes things up. And for me, I think it's my dominant language has changed a little bit. And so I was just curious to kind of talk about that and explore that here with our little muddy community. When I say like midlife shakes things up, I think about how our priorities now are often really different than they were when we were in our 20s. Things are just different. Our time is spent differently. Time feels a lot more scarce than it did before.
Yes.
We've got the whole thing where our physical bodies are changing, and so does our relationship with it. And so physical touch might be a little awkward. It changes things a little bit. And I think it can be really easy to fall into sort of this autopilot situation in our relationships in midlife in particular, because we're so busy and things are crazy. And if we're not really paying attention to the way that we show love or receive love, we don't check in with ourselves and the other person, it can lead to that disconnection, that resentment. And so really coming back to evaluate, hey, how do I feel seen in this relationship right now?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's important.
Where does self-compassion fit into all of that? And by saying that, I mean my relationship with myself, your relationship with yourself, and how am I loving myself?
Absolutely.
How am I treating myself? And I think that is so critical. And that's something that if I really look at it through that lens, I've been through a big evolution, from childhood until now around that. And I'm still going through.
Yeah. So you're saying there's been some kind of shift for you. If you consider that love languages can apply to your relationship with yourself, which I agree. I think they do.
Yeah. So often, and this is the way that I always interpreted the love language stuff, was really how I'm relating to other people and how they're relating to me. I never really thought about it until recently in terms of how do I relate to myself? And what I am learning and experiencing in life is that the way that I treat myself cascades out to the way that I treat others. And that's really not a very conscious thing a lot of times. I'm becoming more conscious about it, but it's an interesting little connection.
Yeah, it is. So I'm curious then, what has the shift been for you?
Well, it's really kind of funny because I told you that my key love language is quality time. And yet I spent the predominant amount of my life between 20 and 40 running away from myself, right? Not spending quality time. I'm going to give myself a gift, though. I'm going to buy myself a new phone and I'm going to, right?
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
So the shift is I'm coming back to quality time with myself. And it's funny because we really were just talking about that in the beginning of this show with time. I was talking about getting up at 4:30 in the morning, but part of that is I have time every day with myself. And I'm at a place in my life where I actually really enjoy that. And that has not always been the case.
What's different, do you think? What's given you that ability to do that?
I don't know. I've just been doing a lot of work on it. A lot of work on just trying to be more accepting of myself, be more gentle with myself, be more clear about who I am and what I want. And as all of those different avenues of work and again, it's the 4%, doesn't happen all at once. As they sort of bleed together, I'm left in a place where I'm starting to really enjoy time just with myself a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about, and I can't really answer it, if other people notice that. Is the way that I'm showing up for other people different? I perceive that it is. But
I think so.
You're not another person.
I'm not another person. I don't count. To go back through each of those through a different lens. So words of affirmation, the way that you talk to yourself in your head. I mean, that can make a huge damn difference. Your
difference.
Thoughts about yourself really impact you.
Well, and that's why I led with the question of where's self-compassion? Because for me, that is it's just a beast that I've been working on. I'm not really good about that. When I get in a moment, I tend to start criticizing myself. And then that doesn't send things in a good direction.
No, and I think we all do that to an extent.
Right.
And how often are you doing that? How much are you repeating that in your head all day long, every day?
And the thing about, you were mentioning the concept of autopilot, that becomes an autopilot thing.
Yeah. You're not even aware of it.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And then acts of service. How many times have you finished dinner with the family and thought, we'll take care of the dishes tomorrow? An act of service for your future self would be to go ahead and get it done.
Right.
So that tomorrow you wake up and you're like, man, Have you ever done that where you're like, oh, God, I'm so glad I did that last night. Thank you to me, the past me that did that.
Yes. It's super important. And if you're trying to eat well or, do anything really that takes that daily habit, you have to put in the acts of service. When I get home, like last night, the sky was just, you know how when it rains and it's like the sky is literally puking on you? It's just like sheets of rain flying into the car and the cars go by and it's like, and you can't see anything. And
yes,
like I spent my entire 10 hours in the car, like driving around in that. And I got home and I was starving. And the last thing I wanted to do was like the easiest thing to do would have been just pick up a burger on the way home.
Shove it in your face and be done.
It's
yeah. Right. You make a choice to do something for your future self.
Right.
Even though in the moment you're like, this sucks. I don't want to do this right now.
And what's interesting is we're talking about all the different love languages and how they can play in a positive way when they're not even necessarily like our primary love language. Acts of service is not my primary love language, but it can really help me out.
Yeah.
And I said, I gave an example of how I try to use that in my relationships too.
It's an exercise.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that we could all benefit from practicing each of these because you don't know. The kinds of people that you are in relationship with may have a different dominant love language and feel seen in a different way than you do. So it is a great exercise and you benefit too. We've already talked about quality time through that lens. Receiving gifts. I'm going to buy myself a little blah, blah, blah.
A brand new MacBook.
I just had to buy a new computer because this thing, my old one, crapped out on us when we tried to record last week. So. I'm still a little bitter, but some people are really good at that. Like, oh, I deserve this. I'm going to buy myself this. And granted, that can go overboard, but absolutely there are times when you can set yourself up for, yes, I'm going to give myself a reward for whatever I've done or to just acknowledge myself,
So I talked about in my younger life, giving myself these gifts and, buying the new iPhone. And what I've kind of evolved to is I still do that, but I'm much more thoughtful and I take a lot more time. Like I don't use it as a quick fix. I will decide like, okay, this is what I really want. And I'll research it and I'll spend months looking at it.
Which also becomes very fun for you.
It becomes extremely fun. I love it. It's like building up to the moment, where you finally get the thing.
Yeah.
And most of the time for me, the thing has to do with some experience that I'm either, getting ready for or actually going to use during the experience. It just all culminates together in this happiness.
I love that. And then physical touch. This one might feel this could go sideways. But okay, so I am trained in Ayurvedic techniques. I don't know if you're familiar with Ayurveda, but like go look it up. It's an ancient thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they do routinely is, and don't take this a weird way, self-massage. It's called Abhyanga. And it's literally like you take oils and you just massage certain areas of your arms and legs. And it is a key component of wellness. And so that's just one example, but also it could be something as simple as, wearing a fuzzy robe, just physical sensation.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I'm going to get a little bit primitive for a second, but one of the things that I really enjoy watching, maybe this is a sign I'm really getting old, but I like watching those nature shows.
I will confirm you are getting old. Hold on, I have to stop you there because I just saw this funny reel. The Holderness family. Everybody knows who this is, except maybe you. I don't know. But
I don't know who it is.
You don't, but the Holderness family, the wife did this video where she plays both roles, but she's like this woman who is entering her late 40s or early 50s. And she's going into this office and this woman's like, okay, yep, next, come sit down. You are now entering later life. And so your interests will now be, and then she spins this wheel.
That's
she
great.
spins this wheel and she's like, you're going to be into birds. So you're going to buy a bird feeder with a camera on it, and you're going to talk about birds, and you're going to join a bird group. And
oh my God, that's great.
And then she said, and this one I really felt seen. She said, it could have been paint by numbers. I just ordered a canvas that's a paint by numbers canvas. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old.
You're like, you're not supposed to say that.
So anyway, yes, you're getting old.
All right. So bringing us back to touch. And one of the things that I just love watching is gorillas and the way that they interact with each other. And there's so much about touch, and they're just very like nurturing with each other.
It's communicative too.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's fascinating to watch that.
Yeah. So let's talk about midlife then. Like we talk about this shift, at least for me. And this may not be true for...
What is it? What is it for you?
I think for me early on, my dominant one was words of affirmation. That really led me. That was the way I felt seen, is if someone said, you did a good job. I remember even back to your relationship with yourself, I would habitually, I didn't even know I was doing it. And then I caught myself doing it one day, like when I was in dental school, and I thought, what the fuck? That's weird. I would constantly have this voice in my head that said, what did you do well today? What were you good at today?
Oh, wow.
It was so bizarre. And I think the whole point of me saying that is that I identified so strongly with whatever it was that I got done, and being acknowledged for that meant that I was being seen. You know, my identity was what I got done, what I did, what I accomplished. And so if someone recognized that, they saw me. And so then I felt more connected. Whereas now in midlife, given that time is scarce, things have changed quite a bit. And I think I'm also a lot more self-aware than I used to be. I feel like, you know, I'm constantly a ship passing in the night with anybody in my life, except maybe you, because I feel like we spend more time together virtually than I do with anybody. But quality time has become so valuable. Back to being old. I now understand why people say the only thing they really want, it's my birthday. What do you want for your birthday? I want to be around the people that I love. I think now my sort of metaphor for quality time is, it's kind of like a timeout in like a sports game, like a soccer game or something. I don't play sports, but let's just pretend that I did. But it's kind of like, you know, taking a time out, having a huddle with your team, and having the ability to sort of, everything else around you slows down and doesn't filter into the conversation you're having in that huddle, right? Like I think about Mother's Day was just recently, and Matt decided that he was going to take us to brunch as a family, and mom and dad came too, and so did my mother-in-law and all 4 kids. Like we weren't even talking about anything amazing. Yeah. We weren't having deep conversation, but to just be present where we were all there, I don't know. It was just, it elicits like this warm feeling. It filled me up, you know?
Yeah.
And I know you know, because quality time is one of your big ones too.
Yeah, I love the huddle. You know, I have this image of the football players all huddling, and the camera angle where they put the camera like in the middle of the huddle, and you really feel the intimacy of that moment. And there's physical closeness with that too, interestingly.
No.
Yeah, not in yours.
Not in mine.
No, you're wearing a padded suit, and
No, but you're right. There's something, and it doesn't have to be long. A timeout is very brief in the span of a game,
I know.
Right? But they are periodic.
Yeah, well, that's another good point, is quality time really doesn't mean the length of time. You could spend hours and hours with someone and not have quality time.
Yeah, it's not quantity time.
You could spend 5 minutes and have really quality time.
Yeah, the drive to the soccer field with your son, right. You know, that 15 minutes is the only time I get that day. But that's quality sometimes. Sometimes it is absolutely not.
Well, I remember back to the Tennessee trip for a second. I flew all the way down from New England for a 3-day trip. It was kind of crazy. And part of it was you guys were already there. So I ended up having to drive the older 2 boys a 4-hour ride from Louisville to Tennessee.
What a joy to spend 4 hours with them.
Well, and here's the thing, like both of them are going to sit in the back on their phones the whole time.
The very back.
The very
like
back.
The third row
the third
back.
row of a Suburban, and I'm driving. And I said, I'm not going to be your driver. So one of you is going to sit up here, and your second oldest sat in the front with me. And it took about an hour.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the words poured forth. We just talked about everything, a vacillating range of topics for 3 hours. And I thought to myself when I parked the car, that's why I came on this trip. If nothing else happens of note on this trip, that would be worth it.
As an aside, if you ever want to talk to a teenager,
put them in the car.
The best time to do it is in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to look you straight in the eye. You've got them confined. Obviously, you need to take their device away. It'd be really easy for them to just surf around on that. But I mean, that is when we have had some of our best conversations.
Yeah. I have another question. Where did words of affirmation go for you? You talked about that as being...
It's still there. It absolutely is still there. But it's just not as... It's not like a driver for me. It's not the thing I'm seeking out anymore.
The thing that came up for me, I don't feel like my primary love languages have really changed at all. However, like quality time and physical touch in that order are kind of my top two. And as I said, I do appreciate all of them, but those are my core ones. And I think that that is true both externally in the way that I give and receive to and from others, but also internally, the way that I relate to myself. But in my life, what came up for me when you were talking is I spent a lot of time, like coming out of the teenage years and into my career, really, really focused on words of affirmation and excelling and getting a 4.0 and being recognized as, becoming the chair of a special interest group of a national association. Like those were very important things for me. I made them important. And there were a lot of words of affirmation around those.
Yeah.
But they did not charge me up. They did not fill me in a meaningful way. It was like an empty search.
Yes.
Like I would get the thing, I would get the chairship, I would get the President's Award, I would make the 4.0. And I just had to put another one up and try to get that one.
Yeah.
It was never enough.
Yeah. And maybe that's what I'm getting at is that in seeking it out the way that I was, it was more about feeling valued.
Yeah.
Maybe, and about my worthiness than it was about connection.
But the two are so closely related.
I know. I can't tease it out.
It's just a different thing. Like when you sit in a room with the people that you love, when I sit in a room with the people that I love, and I feel like they can see me and I can see them, that is the greatest affirmation.
Yes. I don't know. Like when I think about early adulthood, was it really my love language or was it me seeking my worthiness?
Well, that's what came up for me. In my own personal journey is I really connected with words of affirmation, but that was about proving myself and proving that I was worthy. It didn't really feed me. And it wasn't actually, there wasn't love involved in that in the same way. It wasn't a love language thing.
Yeah. When you flip it around to your relationship with yourself, one thing I was always really good at was spending quality time with myself. Always. I have always done that. And so I don't know. Maybe it really was. I wish I could go back. No, I don't. But for like 5 minutes to take the test in my 20s and see what my dominant love language would have been in reality. Maybe it would have been quality time and I just didn't think of it that way. What about you? Like you say there has not been a shift.
There hasn't been a shift in what they are. Like the core of me has always really valued time with others, focused, independent time with others, which includes touch. Sometimes that touch comes in the form of physical play. I think about the way that I interact with your kids. Grab them on the shoulders or we'll wrestle. Sometimes hug. Like all of those things are just natural parts of quality time. What's changed for me is I've become more aware of how much I need that. And I think I'm becoming, back to the idea of a self-relationship, as I explore that more, I feel like I'm able to see opportunities and take advantage of opportunities to create those quality times in new ways. And that's exciting.
With yourself and with others, or how do you mean?
Both. Yeah, with myself and with others. That's the real shift. Like I'm starting to understand it better.
Which means that you can be intentional with the way that you...
Yes, that's right.
That's interesting. So with your partner, like, are your all's dominant love languages different?
There might be some nuanced differences, but the one thing, at least from my perspective, I'd be curious what she said, is that the commonality is quality time. Like, we both have that, and that is both really strong. And one of the values that she has helped me bring to my life is the idea that you should always have a trip booked. And for her, the trip is about spending that quality time.
Yeah.
And that carries over just into daily life, doing stuff together. That is something that I love about our relationship, and that really feeds it.
Yeah, and that makes it nice. You're on the same page in terms of the way that you feed the relationship.
Now, I will say that sometimes some of the activities that I think are really cool are a little...
Not so much for her.
We don't agree on those, but we have a lot of common ground that we can pull from.
For me and Matt, his are so clearly, and he may say differently. He's never actually taken the quiz, I don't think. But I would say his are acts of service and gifts, like hands down. Neither of those things are mine. And so there have been plenty of times where, it just is like, oh, I don't know. We have to sit down and ask for what we need, and so when I pay attention to the way that he shows me love, I'm taking note now anyway of like, that's how he's showing me love. So that's how I need to show it to him. I need to be doing acts of service for him or giving him gifts to show him that I love him. Quality time isn't so much his. I mean, that's not to say he does not benefit or enjoy quality time, but like the concept of quality time, I think for him is different than it is for me.
The thing that just flashed into my mind, it's my perception, and that's all it is that there have been times where Matt has connected with quality time.
Yeah.
And that's been meaningful. And one of the things that popped into my mind was the trip that you guys took a couple years ago.
To Italy?
I think it was to celebrate an anniversary. Yes.
Yeah, for our 20-year anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I mean, is when I think about how we can both show, like, how can we hit two birds with one stone? Back to systems. We're going with systems on this. I want to be efficient. No. But like, okay, for example, and this is something simple. This is way on a smaller scale than a trip to Italy.
Yeah.
One of his is acts of service. One of mine is quality time. And so for whatever reason, we have sort of arbitrarily deemed Wednesday night, when he's able to get home from work early enough, he will help me make dinner.
Ooh.
And that...
I like where this is
going. That for him is an act of service, which I appreciate. But you know what I appreciate more is the fact that we're in the same room, we have a common goal, and we just chat. That is quality time.
I love it, though, because, you kind of fused both of them together.
And so that's what I mean. It's like, how do you find ways so that both people in one experience sometimes are getting what they need from it? And that might, it looks different for everybody. But I think it's worth having a conversation with your partner or whoever we're talking about, whatever kind of relationship we're talking about, of just sitting down and saying, well, what would be good for both of us, where we both feel like we're getting filled up?
Yeah. So what are the micronutrients?
I had a couple of light bulbs. One was that, that it's a two-way street, basically. Whether you're the one doing the act or receiving, there's a connection there. Mm-hmm. Also, that I really love the idea of your relationship with yourself and having an understanding of what your love language is towards yourself and building habits around that, because it does impact the way that you show up in relationships with other people.
Yeah, when we sat down to do this episode and we're putting it together, I think I hadn't emphasized that enough until I started talking about it. And then it just hit me over the head.
Yeah.
How the love languages relate to that self-relationship. And I think that I've always thought about it more externally. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to transfer it.
Turn it towards yourself.
Yes.
I agree. Any others?
For me, it's that all of the love languages are important, and they're fun to play around with. And it's a fun challenge for me to practice a different one. and see what it feels like. And somehow I feel like that helps me understand it a little bit more, like how someone else might feel whose primary love language could be different than mine.
Yeah.
And that can lend to the toolbox, so to speak, when it comes to just creating experiences that everybody feels good about and gains from. And I love your cooking analogy. I thought that was a really good example.
Yeah. As I'm listening to you say that, I'm thinking it's like maybe the love languages that we're less versed in ourselves are simply opportunities that we can explore to connect in a different way.
Yeah.
You know?
And the other thing that resonates for me is intentionality, and just having intention around how you're interacting with yourself and others. And the love languages is a nice little tool that you can kind of superimpose and look at it through this lens.
I know another thing that I wanted to say is that giving grace to the other person in a relationship, because if their love language is different than yours, they might be really trying to show you how much they love you and to connect with you just in a different language than the one that you're used to. And so I guess what I'm saying is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater,
Yeah. So I love the word that you said, grace. And the other one that came up actually rhymes with grace. It's space. God,
we should write poetry.
I am so smart. God, I love it when I do that. But honestly, creating the space to just talk about those things and recognize and even express like what's going on is helpful. There's so many times in life where we just miss each other.
I know.
And we're not meaning
it really does feel like sometimes we're standing in an airport talking different languages, just trying to figure out the same thing,
Right.
So, okay.
Just drop the mic.
So I feel good about love languages. So we're going to link the quiz for those of you who have never taken it. We'll link it in the show notes. Sit down, have a conversation, learn what your love language is if you don't know it.
Write a poem
with words that rhyme. And that is that. So tell us your love language, success and failure stories if you've got any.
We want to hear it.
Hit talk to us in the show notes and leave us a message, a little voicemail.
And also, just as a reminder, we do send out correspondence and emails after every episode inviting our community. So if you are not part of the community, you can go to themidlifemud.com/join and hit the button that says Get Muddy.
Get muddy with us.
Get muddy.
Get muddy, and gives us the opportunity to continue the conversation of whatever we're talking about in the episode. So we hope you join us and have a wonderful rest of your day.
And we'll see you next time
in the mud.
Thanks for being with us in the mud today.
If you liked this episode, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the show. This is going to make sure you never miss an episode, and it's going to help us grow our muddy community, which would mean the world to us.
See you next time in the mud.